If you're curious about propagating, then stay tuned. In today's video, I'm going to answer the top 3 questions I get about propagating. Welcome back to my channel. I'm Cece with One Green Pea, and I make videos to help improve your relationship with your plants. Specifically, help you keep them alive. But most importantly, my mission is to help encourage you that you can do this. No special inborn skill or green thumb needed. Because I value your time, I make my videos informative and snappy. And I always include timestamps in the caption down below so you can find exactly the information you're looking for. Now, let's answer some questions. Now, before I jump into the top 3 questions, let's just talk a little bit about what propagating is and why we do it. You probably hear about propagating all the time. I know I talk about it all the time. It's one of my favorite things to do, and I always have a cutting going of one plant or another. So what is propagating? Basically, it's just creating a new plant out of existing plant material from a mother plant. Simple as that. Why would you want to propagate? And you get new plants for free, basically, either for yourself or for gifting. Another reason to propagate would be if a plant needs trimming or pruning. You can use the material that you've cut off, again, to make new plants. The third most common reason that I propagate is because it's a fun way for me to learn more about my plants, to learn how they grow, sort of a science lesson. The number 1 question that I get about propagating is basically how to do it. That's a huge topic, and I promised you a quick and snappy video today. So happily, I have made an entire video on different processes of propagating, different substrates you can use, and how to handle different types of plants. And I will link it here. For today's purposes, let's say you've never propagated before, and how would you go about doing it? The very easiest way is to take a vining plant such as this pothos. You are going to take a cutting 3 to 4 inches long just below a node. Now a node is the bumpy portion on a stem that is just opposite of where a leaf is growing. On a pothos, that's very easy to find. You're going to cut just below a node. Make sure your cutting has 2 to 3 nodes on it. Remove the leaves that are just opposite the nodes, and then place that cutting right in water. It's that simple. In a few weeks, especially with a quick grower like a pothos, you're going to have roots. The second most common question I get is, how do I know when to put it in water? When are the roots ready? My rule of thumb is that the roots need to be 2 to 3 inches long, and also secondary or accessory roots need to be growing as well. Let me show you. These pothos cuttings have been growing in water for several weeks, and as you can see, the main root is several inches long. And then when you look really closely, there are secondary roots coming off as well. And that is important because the main root, its purpose is stability. So it's going to help stabilize the plant in the soil. The secondary roots, though, are the ones that form the network that reach out into the soil to look for nutrients and moisture. So that's my general rule of thumb. These two need to go in soil. It's important to note that you don't want to wait too long either. If you wait too long, then the roots begin to adapt themselves to the water environment so that they won't rot, and that makes it harder for them to transition into soil. You need to wait long enough, but not too long. Question number 3 is, do I have to change the water while I'm waiting for roots to grow? You're going to hear different answers to that question based on who you ask. But here's the truth. There isn't scientific evidence one way or the other. The reason that people state that it's important not to change the water as you're trying to root plants is that the plant releases chemicals or hormones that help it to root more quickly. There's really no scientific evidence pointing to that. The reason that people say to change the water is that there's potential for algae to build up. I like to change the water when I'm rooting my plants because I just don't like looking at murky water. There is a risk of algae, yes. I've absolutely never seen it happen, but there's a risk of it. Mine is just aesthetic. I just don't like seeing that murky water, so I do change the water maybe every several days. What is really important is that you continue to top off the water, whether or not you're replacing it entirely. You don't ever want the nodes that you're trying to root to be out of the water. So there you have it, the answers to the top 3 questions I get about propagating. If you have other questions that weren't answered, leave them in the comments below and I will be sure to address them. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel so you don't ever miss any of my planty content. As always, my plant friends, let's keep growing together a greener world.